So Sophie Cunningham today was being interviewed, and she was talking about obviously what she's done, and obviously talking about the new kind of newfound fame Sophie Cunningham has had, and she's answered the question in the best way possible because obviously, look, she did some ring endorsement yesterday, and she probably recorded it a while ago. Probably took her 10 seconds to do it, and you know the whole thing in sports, and it's a sports thing where it's like, yeah, players have lives outside sports, but you all know it. If you're a fan of a player and they're underperforming and then they're doing anything that isn't sports, people are going to get really annoyed. Like the Paul George podcast situation, when Paul George was thinking it up and fans were furious about the podcast. However, Sophie Cunningham has responded in probably the best way possible, to be honest. But let's take a listen right here.
I think that's just what I've always been about. The people who know me, they're like, we're not surprised. Like, that's how you always have been. I didn't mean for it to blow up like that. I didn't mean for it to blow up at all, to be honest. But at the end of the day, like, I'm here to focus on basketball. I'm still so not satisfied with how I'm playing. I'm so annoyed by it, to be honest. And so I just need to dial in, focus on my shot, focus on kind of getting back to where I was before I got injured. So that's where my mind's at. This is all super cool, and I think it's fun. I think it's cool to show young boys and girls it's cool to stand up for your teammates, to stand up for your friends, to do that type of thing. But my mind is like, I need to start scoring the ball.
So yeah, that's something, and I think that's an important thing. That, like, obviously she's being asked basically about her newfound fame, and if I'm not mistaken, she's gone from like 300. I need to just check. So on Instagram, Sophie Cunningham has gone from 300,000 followers to 1 million followers. And just looking from my own personal Instagram, from one person that I followed Sophie Cunningham to 7. And let's take a look at her TikTok. So she had what, a million or like a 400,000? She's at 1.5 million TikTok followers. She has 1.5 million TikTok followers now, which is kind of crazy considering. So she's gained, between Instagram and TikTok, I'm not joking, she gained, was it 1.2 million and 700k? So nearly 2 million followers, albeit there's an overlap. But onto her social media, she had about 2 million followers because of that. And up to that point, I was close to her in total social media followers. Man, like, if you count YouTube subscribers, Twitter followers and everything, like, and Twitch followers, I was close to her before this. I was close to her, and now she's one of the more popular players in the league. Heck, she was like 15th in All-Star voting or something. But I think now she's to focus on her game, forget what happened. Yeah, one of the most famous players in the league. She's strategic. But, like, this is the perfect way to answer that question, because at the end of the day, look, I always say this with players, it's about keeping the main thing the main thing. It's about keeping the main thing the main thing. And it's like, you don't want to see players kind of drop because of other things. Like, if you guys are seeing how Flaujae's been playing right now in AmeriCup, and she's been terrible. Like, there's no two ways about it, unless she stepped up today against Puerto Rico, which was a closer game. I didn't watch that game, and oh my god, like, were they down at halftime? It was a ball game at halftime, and Flaujae is now, other than Audie Crooks, second last off the bench. She's meant to be like one of these top picks. She's one of the last players off the bench for this Team USA team. Hannah Stuelke's playing over. Stuelke's playing over right now. And I know they're not necessarily the same position. Joyce Edwards obviously is playing over. You're looking at Grace Van Slooten, Hidalgo, Michaela Blakes. All these players playing over. Gianna Neepkins all playing over. Whereas Flaujae is really, really struggling. And you're like, she's averaging 2.7 a game. You're like, okay, maybe focusing on keeping the main thing. Like, her and Audie Crooks, the two worst players on this team so far, outside of games, posting duets on social media, and you're like, there's no issue with that. There's no issue with doing that. Every player can do what they want, but the criticism comes when you are underperforming. When you're underperforming, and I do think that's one of those things in women's basketball is not really talked about, because I know if I talk about how poorly Flau'jae has been playing, you just get called a hater. I'm like, oh, you got to talk about basketball. You got to talk about basketball, but like people care more about the fact that Audie Crooks and Flau'jae Johnson had a viral duet than the fact that like both of them have been stinking it up in America right now. Both of them have absolutely been stinking it up in America. But yeah, it is an interesting one. It is a really, really interesting one, and I do think that Sophie Cunningham does have to step up. I think she really, really has to step up. I think she's got to be a lot better. I think she's got to shoot the ball more. Like, if she is open, she's got to hit them. Like, she's not much of a creator, but the reality is that Sophie Cunningham, for her career, has been a 40% three-point shooter, and she's averaging career lows in points. I think career low in points. It's definitely a career low in three-point shooting percentage. Her defense has been, like, she's a fine defender. Like, no one's ever said Sophie Cunningham is this lockdown defender, but what she is she can guard 1 through 5 at an acceptable rate. She is an acceptable rebounder. She spreads the floor at least. She's a good enough shooter, you have to respect her. But if she keeps missing those open corner threes, there's going to be an issue. And look, that's the main thing. That is the main thing, which is basketball at the end of the day. Like, no matter what these players do outside of basketball, and I think it's great that these players are doing things outside of basketball. And I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are focused too much on other things, or they think that if you're, they obviously, it's better now than it used to be, which if you're a basketball player, you can only be a basketball player. People can do multiple things at once. People can have hobbies. But at the end of the day, anything that distracts you from basketball, when that is your job, is not when you're being employed to play basketball, is not going to be seen as a good thing, especially by a fan base. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think Sophie needs to step up? I think she does. I think she'll be fine. Like, I don't think Sophie's been that bad this season, but she's been fine. That's the only way to describe Sophie Cunningham, is she's been absolutely fine this season. But the problem is that for the Fever to do anything, and by anything I mean win around the playoffs, she's got to be good. She's got to be real good. She's got to step up and be a really good player to do anything. And just doing what she is right now and being just a perfectly fine basketball player, just simply put, is not enough to help this Indiana Fever team.